Well, folks, I am back at the roller painting job on this Volkswagen Golf Cabriolet. So, followers of my channel might remember the fact that it was just too cold in the garage the last time I tried to actually paint this car, and the finish turned out to be terrible. Now it's not so cold, it's a nice 18 degrees today, so I'm making progress, and I'll show you how I'm getting on. So you'll see that I have done some fairly extensive sanding on this car to try and get some sort of flatness to it, because the paint turned out to be like the surface of the moon and I just was not happy with it at all. And the only way to do it was I actually did a 180 grit dry sand on it and just basically flatted everything down as much as I could. But I've started painting, and you can see now on the bonnet there is much less orange peel going on there this time around. Now, the finish is still not perfect, but it's going to have to be flatted back, and the paint is still wet, obviously. But it's certainly an awful lot better than it was. And if you look down along the side here, I think we're going to get much better results this time. So this time around, I am using the hairdryer to just burst any bubbles as I roll on the paint, and it's definitely yielding good results. I have the paint tinned right down. I'd say it's going to take 2 coats to get it to a good finish, but I'm going to keep going anyway until I get it to a good standard, and then we can flat it back and see how it's looking and reevaluate at that stage. So I'm going to crack on, and I'll bring you back when I've made a bit of progress on it. Alright, they do say on the tin that the paint shouldn't be used in temperatures less than 15 degrees. And they're not joking, because that makes a huge difference. That's more like it. Now obviously, as I said, it does need to be flatted back, but that's very much achievable at this point in time. The only area of concern I have now is on the bonnet. You can kind of see lines from the roller going up and down it, and I'm hoping that they'll come out of it. But what we'll do is we'll sand it back and we'll see how it's looking then, and hopefully it'll be okay. But definitely we're making progress now. It is going to need another coat, simply because of the fact that I did sand through to the metal underneath in a couple of places when I was trying to kind of get everything smooth. So that's, I knew what I was doing in that regard. So there's still plenty of paint left anyway, and I will get to it. But I have to wait for the paint to dry first of all. So I'm going to leave it to dry overnight, and I'm going to pick it back up hopefully tomorrow and start sanding back and getting rid of some of the orange peel, see how it looks, and then just do hopefully it'll be one more coat, and then that'll be the job done. So yeah, and then we can start actually reassembling the car. And there is an issue with the engine, so I need to try and tackle that as well. It is running like an absolute pig, so I need to try and figure out what's going on with it. Okay, so it's a few days later, and I now have the car flatted back again, and I have it all washed off and everything like that. And I'm just going to give it a wipe down with some white spirits and then a tack cloth, and then we'll be ready for what is hopefully going to be the final coat of paint. Now, I do suspect the bonnet is going to need another couple of coats, and I'll show you the reason why now. For whatever reason, there were kind of channels marked into the paint along the bonnet from where the roller was used, and I think it was literally just because of the fact that the paint was just too, or the paint, I was trying to paint it when it was too cold, so I had to machine sand it. Now it's gone back to the metal in some places here, so that's yeah, obviously it's going to need more than one coat to cover that up. And in actual fact, I need to just machine sand there. You can actually see one of those channels just there, so they do show through the paint, and the only way I'm going to get a decent finish in this is to attack it with the dual action and get it completely smooth. Now the rest of the car is actually fine, it's literally just that area there. So we'll just keep going until we get it right. Truth be known, I'm getting a right pain in my Swiss with this, and I just want to get it finished. Alright, so there is what I'm hoping will be the last coat of paint on, aside from the bonnet. As I said, it will need another coat or two. But yeah, it's definitely starting to come together now, and I'm hoping that by the time I give that a belt of the 1000 grit and get it flatted back and get onto it with the polishing compound, that the orange peel will go out of that, and that it will really start to shine. Now, I mean, there is shine to it there now, but obviously that's because the paint is wet. But, I mean, look, it gives you an idea as to what it should hopefully look like when it's finished. So, I shall continue on undeterred, and then by the time I'm finished all of this work, I should be able to start putting the car back together again, get the lights into it and all of that kind of thing, and then start worrying about getting the engine running right again, because it's running like an absolute pig. Probably something simple wrong with it. Okay, it is the following day, and I have made a start on doing the final sanding and polishing on the door panel here. Now, I've done what I've done here is I've just rubbed it with 1000 grit, and that is nice and smooth, so I think we're good to go here. I'm not going to give this another coat of paint. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually polish the life out of it. Now, the only thing is, I probably will need to do another coat on the bonnet, but that's alright. That's a separate panel. We can mask off the wings and stuff like that, and then literally just do that area. And yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, this is going to turn out actually quite well. So I'm quite excited to see the end result, to tell you the truth. Okay, so I have 1000 grit wet and dry sandpaper here, and I'm going to go over it with this. And I'm not going to use the sanding block, simply because of the fact that I want to be able to follow the contours of the car and actually feel a little bit where the kind of rougher spots are. But I have a good bucket of clean water here. I'm going to basically just get stuck in, and that's lovely and smooth there. You actually hear that it's not smooth there, so I haven't done that bit, I've done this bit. But I'm even it all out. We'll work our way right the way around the car. Now you'll notice I'm not too concerned about along here, because the rubber's going to cover there, the trim's going to cover there, so literally just the large surface areas. Okay, so I have the car completely rubbed back with 1000 grit sandpaper, and the paint is feeling much smoother now, so I think we're ready to go for a polish. So I'm going to show you the compound I'm going to be using. Now, I'm not sponsored by these guys or anything, much as I'd like to be. This is Meguiar's Ultimate Compound, and this is what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using it with a machine. So I'm going to try it on the door panel here, on the driver's door, or on the passenger door even. And I'm going to see how that shapes up, and then I'm going to try the boot lid as well, see how that looks, and we can go from there. Unfortunately, the bonnet is definitely going to need another sandback and paint. I don't know what it is, but it's just coming out in stripes the whole time. Now, I think what I need to do is I need to actually thin out the paint mix a little bit more and let it give it the opportunity to self-level. It could be that, I don't know. I'm clutching at straws here, to tell you the truth, but I'm going to try it and see how it fares out. Very important. Shake the life out of the compound before you use it. Wow, that looks brilliant, and I am so happy with that. That's fantastic. Genuinely, I've seen worse spray paint jobs. Let me get you in a bit closer. The shine on it is incredible, and it's so smooth. Yeah, I could go a bit more on the machine if I wanted to, but to be honest with you, as a first pass, that is not bad at all. So I'm going to go and I'm going to do the whole car, and come back down and come back around and we'll do a few of the kind of little questionable areas afterwards. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of orange peel in it. I mean, it is a roller paint job, but to be honest with you, very passable. I'm going to give it a coat of wax. You know what, folks? When you consider how this car looked before I started this job, that is very passable. So let's get the rest of the car done. I mean, it's coming together. It's taking an awful lot of elbow grease, but there's a shine to that paint. And to be honest with you, I'm pretty happy with that. Now, I've given it another going over with the polishing mop, and I just need to address a couple of little areas on the rear tailgate, and you've all down here. You remember there was damage down the bottom there. It's looking pretty straight now. Actually, the damage was on the passenger side. But the bonnet is in the process of getting repainted. That's the third light coat on it there now, so it's starting to look a lot better. And yeah, I'll just bring you around here. You can see down the bottom there is where the damage was. That's not perfect, but it's not far off the mark. It's a pretty straight car, to be fair. They say that when one door closes, another one opens. Other than that, it's a pretty good car. Alright, another few days in, and I am completely done with this now at this stage. But we're definitely getting there. As far as I'm concerned, the painting is now finished, and we're on to the point of polishing up. There may be a few details I need to touch up and stuff like that here or there. There are a couple of small imperfections, but look, to be honest with you, superficially the car looks okay. So I've polished a lot of it. There's still a few areas of concern, and I'm going to just show you what I have done on the bonnet. Now you'll see the bonnet is as flat as a pancake, and the reason it is because I have wet sanded it with 800 and 1000 grit sandpaper, so that basically gives us our surface for polishing. Now it looks like the surface of the moon at the moment, but by the time I'm finished with the polishing mop there, I think it'll look a lot better. So let's get stuck in. Give that its final polish, see how it looks, and we can go from there. I would imagine that then at that stage I will be looking at refitting some pieces of trim. Now, as far as the trim goes, there are a few areas I'm going to need to address on that as well, so we'll just have to kind of feel our way through it and see how we go. Learning experiences so far, by the way. If you have any kind of surface imperfections underneath the paint, like areas you've sanded down and the primer or the metal is showing through, I would, to be honest with you, give that whole panel a coat, a light dusting of primer, because to be honest with you, it'll be an awful lot easier when you're doing your top coats that nothing is going to show through, because it's taken 5 coats to stop a few little areas showing through here. The other thing as well is, don't even try and do this if you are not in kind of at least 15 degrees, preferably 20 degrees weather, because the paint is just going to go to crap and it'll look terrible. So you're going to end up having to redo things a lot. Other things are, you would probably be better off getting a rattle can made up of the same colour as well, where you can do the edges and kind of inside the doors, that kind of thing. I didn't, but that's not to say I won't still. I may end up doing that afterwards if areas are still looking a bit bogey. But for the moment anyway, let's just plough ahead and get the exterior side of the car sorted out and looking good, and we can move on. I'm still using this Maguire's compound here, Maguire's Ultimate Compound. I have to say, I am impressed with it. I want to try and attack the bonnet of my Beetle with it as well and see if I can get a bit more of a shine out of that. For the moment, let's worry about this. So, let's see. That's what we're kind of working towards. And that's nice and smooth there. Getting there, but it's going to need another pass with the polishing mop, so we're going to do that again now. Okay, I think that turned out pretty good. It's not perfect, as I said, but to be honest with you, it looks an awful lot better than it did when it was silver. So, you know what? I'm going to call that a win. So, we're going to leave it there. In the next video, I'm going to put this car back together and get it ready for the open road. And there are big plans for this car, so make sure you stay tuned and I will fill you in on the progress. Please do hit the subscribe button before you go so you don't miss any updates on this or other projects on the go. And I will see you in a future video. Talk to you soon.